Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am still waking up. It is not early in the morning by any means, but I am still waking up. I am on my way to a listing appointment, which I will chat about in a minute, because if you are not new on my channel, then you know I generally am not working with listings. I kind of decided almost a couple years ago now, or maybe even more than a couple years ago now, that I'm done working with sellers, and I've been basically giving all our sellers to my husband and only working with our relocation clients, because my husband and I are a husband and wife real estate team. And I'll explain that in just a second, why and why I'm going on this listing appointment and what I've been doing and all of that. But I feel like I'm still waking up. I did not sleep very well last night, even though it is not early in the morning anymore. I've had a very slow to get going day just because I've been feeling so tired. So I'm not as early as I wanted to be. I'm not late, but I'm not as early as I wanted to be to this appointment. But that's okay. We still have time to go get a matcha, which we are going to do. That's going to wake us up and make us feel better, because you guys, listing appointments are really, really fun if you feel good and you have energy. If you don't have energy, I don't think anything in life is really fun. That's just my honest opinion. Before we get our matcha though, let me just explain to you real quick, because I made a video actually a couple years ago, and I've talked about this in my vlogs as I share what I'm doing in my real estate life and business. I've shared with you guys bits and pieces of this. So like I said, if you're not new, you already know. I started my business by cold calling. The first probably 5 years or so as a real estate agent, all of my business, I mean like 99%, extreme high majority of my business came from cold calling or door knocking for sale by owners. Every once in a while there is an expired listing sprinkled in there, but mainly just for sale by owners. And I made the decision however many years ago now. Gosh, yeah, okay, it's been more, I said earlier it's been a couple years. It's been more like 5 years, because I made the decision when my daughter was like 6 months old that I'm not going to work with listings anymore. Mainly just because I know everyone says when you have listings, you have time freedom that you don't have when you work with buyers, and listings is actually the way to scale your business and get leverage and all of that as a realtor. And I totally understand that, and I believe that's true. But for the type of buyers I had at the time, I started at that time working with relocation buyers that came from a different YouTube channel, not this one. And because of that, most of these buyers were moving from out of state. They were a much higher price point than I was used to working with. They were not here in person when I was showing the houses, for example, so I could bring my daughter with me easily. It was just so quick, I guess you could say, to like go do a video tour or two and then come home and like I'm done, if that makes sense, and then like make some videos that bring me clients. And that's what I did and focused on. So I don't know if any of that made any sense, but that's basically why I pulled back from listings, because it just made sense to the way I wanted to run my business and life. And as a mom, that's just how I wanted to do things. And so I stopped listing properties. I still do work with buyers at this point in time, although I have even scaled back that quite a bit. And I've been focusing a lot more on our marketing that brings us buyer clients and helping agents. I sponsor agents all over the US and Canada at our company, Real Broker, which is so much fun. And that has become a legitimate source of passive income. And it's also a passion of mine. I actually have a call after this with one of the agents we sponsor to just help get her business going a little bit and answer some questions she has about being a new agent. And it's something I love. So maybe I'll talk a little bit more about that call and how that goes later, and maybe answer some of her questions for you guys, because I know a lot of our viewers are new agents. But all this to say, I have pulled back a lot. I'm still in production, but I don't want to be selling as many houses as I was. I've really been enjoying this flow that I've been in, working with a very minimal, maybe like a buyer or so at a time, a relocation YouTube buyer or so at a time, and then passing on the rest of the leads to my husband and letting him handle the rest, while also helping agents and focusing on our marketing. So that's kind of what I've been doing as a realtor, and how I've really scaled my real estate business and structured my business and life as a mom. It's given me so much time freedom, flexibility, ability to be a stay-at-home mom as well, and really feel like I'm actually present, which is super important to me. But all that to say, I am taking a listing today because this is a past client of mine. I know I've worked with him at least once. I don't remember. I honestly can't remember what he even looks like because I have not worked with him in years. But I've worked with him at least once in the past. I know that for sure. And I've actually sold this particular home. It's a manufactured home in a park, but it's a very nice, clean, all-age friendly community in my area. And I have sold this same specific home in this park at least 3 times. I think this will be the 4th since I first got licensed in 2015. So I have a lot of history with this house. I've sold it many times. Honestly, usually what would happen over the last few years when a past client of mine reaches out and says, "Hey Mariah, can you come list my house?" I will give it to my husband and he'll go on that listing appointment. However, I had the time in my schedule this week and I thought, you know what, I'm going to just go on this listing appointment and list this house. Why not? So it's been a while since I've, listed. I do that every now and then with a past client or referral. I'll take it myself, but it's pretty rare. So I'm not out there listing houses all the time anymore like I was, but I'm excited to go on this listing appointment. I have my comps here. I have my just some information that came with my comps for the seller that is from my local multiple listing services. I use my local MLS to make my CMAs. That's how I make my market analysis. I have the number in mind that I think the home should be listed at, and I'm going to talk to the seller about it. I've actually not listed a home since this new NAR law passed. While I personally myself haven't listed a property, technically I have because my husband and I are a team, so I have listed a property, but I haven't been like the main listing agent on it, if that makes sense. We co-list everything. While I have not personally listed a property by choice since this NAR law passed, I feel very comfortable explaining it. I've really, a while back, took a lot of time when it was brand new educating myself on it, but obviously I've worked with buyers and represented buyer clients since then, so I'm very comfortable explaining it, and that's not, an issue or something to worry about at all. Okay, so we're going to go to this listing appointment. I'll catch you up after, let you know how it goes, let you know any new agent listing appointment tips I can think of that would have been helpful for me when I was a new agent. And then tonight, I'm going to swing by the house again, drop off the sign and the lockbox while I'm with my husband because he wants me to go with him to listing photos for a brand new property that he is listing, or we, because like I said, we co-list everything. We're a real estate team. We are listing this property. It is a really beautiful property, 5 acres, 4,000 square foot home. It's really, really unique and definitely a gem of a property. But for this property specifically, I don't usually go with my husband when he has a listing photo appointment. However, he wants me to be there tonight to help get some extra content. We really want to go hard with all the extra marketing because this is such a unique property. So I'm going to be there with him and we're going to have a fun time and I'm going to help him get some extra marketing for the home. All right, guys, let's go get our matcha. Finally, wake ourselves up and then let's get to this listing appointment. Grande iced matcha, or actually no, I'll have a venti iced matcha with almond milk and no syrup in that. I'll have 2 packs of stevia instead, please. Coming back to life. I have the old listing agreement printed from when I listed this home last, which the last time I listed it was 2021. So I have the old listing agreement here and then a pen, and along with the CMA that I did. And with the pen, I'm going to write out, I'm going to ask the seller all of the questions, just to obviously get as much information I can about the home and also just show the seller that I'm interested, because that's my job, is to care about him and his home and the things that have been done. So if you're a new agent and you're like, what do I ask on a listing appointment? Here's a few things you can ask. How old's the roof? When was the water heater last replaced? What improvements, if any, have you done to the home since it was last for sale? Is there anything in particular that you just really want to make sure is highlighted in the listing? Anything that's awesome about this home, this neighborhood, this community that you want to make sure gets in that listing agreement? Okay, first of all, my windshield's super messy, but ignore that. But I'm rolling into this park. This is very sentimental for me because, like I said, I started my career listing heavy, for sale by owner heavy,
But not only that, I worked with a lot of manufactured homes the first few years in the business. I was 18. Yes, I did work with regular residential home sellers as well, but a lot of my clients also were manufactured homes. And so this is like bringing me back because it's been a very long time since I've driven through a manufactured home park. But I've sold that house right there. I've sold that house right there. I've sold many of those houses in the middle. Wow.
Guys, I just got done with the listing appointment. It went really, really well, and it was good. I had time to talk to the seller and ask them plenty of questions, but at the same time, it was kind of nice and short and sweet and to the point, which is how I like my listing appointments to go. So we have everything for this home pretty much ready to get it on the market. So I get asked a lot because I talk to agents often because of the brokerage I'm with, Real Broker, which I love so much, by the way. If you're like, what's that? What's Real Broker? Why do you talk to agents? Head over to my channel. I have an entire playlist called Real Broker Explained or something like that, and you can find out everything you need to know. But I talk to new agents often, and new agents often ask questions about listing appointments / they're a little nervous to go on listing appointments. And my biggest piece of advice when it comes to listing appointments is this: it is not about you. And when you don't make it about you and you make it about the seller, there's really no reason to be nervous. You are going to be so much better off in your listing appointment when you come in with a heart and mind that is very, what's the right word? I guess you could say fully present. You're present in the moment with the client, but also you're genuinely interested in them and their home. That's what they care about. Okay, I'm telling you, I have gone on so many listing appointments throughout my years in the business because, like I said, although I don't tend to list a bunch of properties now because of where I'm at and how I've scaled and pulled back in my business intentionally, I started my business very listing heavy, and that was the majority of my business. And what I learned through going on appointment after appointment, what I heard from for sale by owner after for sale by owner was, you actually care. We listed with you because you actually cared about us. You actually asked us questions and were genuinely interested in us and our home. You listened to us. You didn't come in here and make it all about you and your company and why you're the best and why all the houses you've sold. Like, agents think that that's what's going to get them the business. They truly think for some reason that coming in with some amazing presentation is what's going to win them the client. That's not how it works, okay? I have seen so many agents talking about their listing presentations, and there's pages of about them and why they're the best and all the homes they've sold and what they're going to do to market the property. And while, yes, if a seller asks you how you're going to market the property, you need to be able to articulate that. At the same time, it is way more powerful, and it's going to win you the listing way more times going in and making it about them and forgetting about yourself, okay? This is something that helped me when I was brand new, had no experience, was not as good as the other agents who I was getting the listing over. It's because I did this. I went this method, and it's so powerful. It sounds too simple to be true, but it is. I really never have used a listing presentation. My listing, yes, I know how to answer the questions the sellers might ask me. I know how to explain our commission and what we charge and go over comps and pricing and all of that important stuff with sellers. I know how to have those conversations. And by the way, if you're like, I don't know how to go over those conversations, go to Real Academy. There is pre-made, you can only do this if you're with Real Broker, but there is the best pre-made new agent training that goes over everything you need to know about how to list a property, how to go on a listing appointment, and all the details on Real Academy. It's the pre-made new agent. I believe it's like a 12-week training series. Go through all of it. I would highly, highly recommend that if you're a new agent or not. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so yes, I know how to answer the questions they're going to ask me, but I don't have a listing presentation. My listing presentation is I go in ready to listen to the seller, ready to be genuinely interested in them and their home and ask them questions, and it works. It works. I'm telling you, that's what works. You don't need this fancy presentation. You do not need to memorize this fancy presentation about how good you are, how good your company is. You're going to do this to market it. No. Be interested in them and listen to them, and that will get you way further. I promise you.
Now I'm inputting the listing into the MLS by getting all the documents signed and then sending them to my transaction coordinator, and she handles everything from there. Now it's the same day, a little bit later. I'm in the car and there's Spencer picking up our sign, and we have 2 new listings coming on the market today. So we're gonna take our sign to my new listing appointment I went on this morning, and then we're gonna go to, look at how dirty my windshield is, oh my goodness. Then we're gonna take our sign to the new listing that we're doing the photos for tonight. Sign guy. He's a good sign guy. Okay, this is the chicken parmesan without the noodles, and that is, what'd you get?
I got the chicken Alfredo. Yeah.
Look at that. Okay, we made it to the listing. This home that we're at right now, that we're doing the pictures at, this was an expired listing that Spencer has been following up with for over a year now, but she's finally ready to get it back on the market with him. And expired cold calling and following up with expired listings, it does work. It is a big source of business for us, along with our YouTube channels as well. And the photographer's here doing professional photos, but we're gonna get out and do some content on our iPhones as well for all our different social media platforms to really show off this property, because there's some cool, unique features about it. Welcome to our brand new listing. This is our tour guide, Spencer, today. He is gonna be showing us around the house.
And the more it shows itself. These are the original owners.
We're finally leaving and getting the last sign in the dirt for the day.